Everybody, welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am your host, Kate, and, well, kind of host, engineer. I'm still engineer. I don't want to host this shit. Who am I kidding? Joining me this week is Brandon.
Hello.
Kestrel.
Hello.
Kane.
Hey, hey.
And DJ.
Yo.
We got DJ back.
World Series champion.
I'm alive. World Series champion DJ.
Yep.
It was me. I did it.
The whole thing.
We are here to talk about the fall 2023 anime season that has just begun in the last couple of weeks. And a lot of those shows unloaded a large amount of episodes at the very beginning of their run, because I guess that's the thing people do now. We're gonna postpone news this week and just bang through all these shows. Do we have news?
I mean, not really, since we already have news that's a month old.
Oh, okay. We should probably do news then. Let's do news.
First piece of news is DJ's on the show. What? No way.
Oh, yeah. I have returned.
I looked back. The last time he was on the show was June, and it's now November.
Jesus Christ, it's been that long?
Jesus,
Yo.
DJ.
What? That's wild.
How many words were written in that time frame?
Since June? What is that? That's 6, right? Okay, yeah, so probably I'm gonna guess 600,000 would be my guess since June.
Just silly.
And that's what Scrivener is. Whenever I see you, that's
Scrivener is
what you're
just like the writing document I use because they changed how Google Docs works like a year and a half ago, and it just became fucking impossible to navigate. So
Scrivener
everything that I do is in a Scrivener document. It's my whole life, my schedule, everything. It's all in one place.
I hope you got backups.
I do, yeah. Scrivener has an integration where you can just automatically upload everything right to the cloud with Mega. So I'm set.
Wow, and he's not even sponsored,
Here's
folks.
business.
No, not even sponsored.
That's
For
okay.
just $40, you too can acquire Scrivener, which is probably the best program I've ever purchased.
It's National Novel Writing Month, and I think they give it to you free or for a deep discount if you want to do National Novel Writing Month. So
Ooh, there you
get
go.
it cheaper.
Just enter in promo code Fandom Post Radio.
I wish. Can we get some of that hot Scrivener money? Because that would be cool.
They're raking it in.
So got a month of news as usual. I didn't put down that much as usual, I guess. So I'm sure I missed some things, but a few highlights that stuck out to me. So Manga Plus, I don't know if anyone uses that, but it's a service that's kind of like Viz's Shonen Jump app, except it's international, where Viz is only US and Canada or something. And it has some series that Viz doesn't have. So that is now getting its own subscription service. So, with Viz, you can do the newest chapters are free, but for the back catalog, you got to pay them a couple bucks. And now they're introducing that to Manga Plus as well. So there are a few different tiers. There's Manga Plus Max, or I think that's the whole subscription thing. So it's got standard and deluxe plans, different prices, different manga, and then you can still just do the free one, I think. So yeah, good for international fans, I guess. And if you're happen to read something that's only on Manga Plus.
Good. More options. Good.
A lot better than K-Manga.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
I don't know if it's in the news doc, but you could basically report that just about every publisher has increased their prices for manga in the last month or two.
That has been ongoing, and since publishing and the economy went haywire. So
Yeah.
And all streaming services too.
yeah, everything basically inflation. inflation be happening, it's hitting your books too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad that Viz had to increase their prices to what, like $2.99? Like, geez, you think I can afford that?
Shocking.
Well, I guess I'm not eating this month.
Speaking of Shonen Jump series, this is, of course, old news now, but still worth discussing, especially now that we are in November. One Piece's own Monkey D. Luffy will be soaring over the streets of New York City at the 97th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, joining Goku, Pikachu, one or two others, I think, from Japanese media.
Can't wait to hear all those news people mispronounce Luffy.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. See, the funny thing is with Saiyan Cyan, they actually pronounce it correctly because the official Funimation dub pronounces it incorrectly. But yeah, almost certainly they're going to say Luffy unless Shueisha gives them a big, bold pronunciation guide.
And finally end the age-old debate and have the Goku and Luffy balloons fight each other.
Ah, yeah.
Ooh, that would be cool.
I mean, they have done a few crossovers already.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be good. Kaiju, Luffy, and Goku over New York City.
I wonder what the balloon will look like. The Goku balloon is always fucking dope as hell. Because he's Super Saiyan Blue.
Yeah.
As well.
They posted it though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. It
kind
is
kind of a chibi Luffy.
Notably not Iñaki. Even though the inspiration was obviously the fact that there's just a Netflix series released.
Yeah.
Not Iñaki, not Gear 5, just standard ass Luffy, which is probably for the best.
Vanilla ass Luffy.
The cartoony Luffy. Kind of SD looking.
Yeah,
for the best too.
Oh. I'm gonna skip the next one to do a crazy fucking segue. Speaking of Goku and SD, new Dragon Ball anime series coming. It's big news, but it's not the Dragon Ball series everyone wants. They're like, hey, what if we did GT, but all of the characters got turned into kids? That's what you've been wanting, right? That's what the fans have been clamoring for. So doesn't appear to be related to Super. I don't even know if it's going to be canon, really. Certainly does not adapt the manga series that already has a storyline after where the Super anime ended. So very bizarre things happening in the Dragon Ball franchise, but I guess it's just you take whatever you feel like taking, and that's your Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I think I read something that was like, Akira Toriyama is so involved.
Yes, right. As always, even more than the last time, even more than all the other times I was super involved. I'm just so involved this time, guys.
I'm the most involved. When's that check cash? All right.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. That is a thing. Pretty big.
They should put this new series then up against the Fist of the North Star SD series and do a crossover, even though the Fist of the North Star one is 10 years old now.
And yeah, this does appear to be it's basically SD designs, but it appears to be your kind of normal style. It's just that all of the characters are turned into children, just like Goku was in GT.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, I guess I should mention the actual name, right? It's Dragon Ball Daima.
I mean, I don't think you really had to do that. But...
We'll see. Hopefully it's good. Okay, and also we have Crunchyroll. Well, there's been a lot of Crunchyroll news. Obviously, previously we already talked about them killing off Right Stuff when it was just announced to be happening. Now it has officially happened. There is no more Right Stuff. There is only the Crunchyroll store, and they are trying to migrate stuff over in terms of accounts, but not going that great. Nope. They've got all the inventory, but they have a lot of pre-order delays, 1 to 2 months for stuff you had pre-ordered from Right Stuff months ago. So that sucks. But that's one thing that happened. Also, they were sued, class action lawsuit that you probably got an email about.
I did.
Submit a super simple form and get your $30 because they almost certainly illegally sold your personal information. So
nice.
Yeah. Also, the news that I actually had on here is they are launching a 24/7 anime streaming channel. So kind of like your Pluto TV, not to be confused with Pluto, the TV series. But yeah, that's a thing that I guess is popular now because, contrary to what I like to believe, people don't actually watch stuff. They put it on the background while they do other stuff. So just having a constant stream of anime white noise is, I guess, appealing to people.
Fuck that.
You're legally not allowed to eat lunch anymore without having YouTube or something on.
I mean, yeah, I do that, but that's not anime. Like if I'm putting on something with an actual, like storyline, I'm gonna, watch it, which is what you're supposed to do. But if I'm eating fucking random ass YouTube true crime shit, let's go.
Right, yeah. But yeah, that's a popular thing now, and so Crunchyroll is jumping on the bandwagon, as they do with most bandwagons. So that will be happening at some point. I don't know. I don't care. If you have a streaming device, it'll probably be on there.
Wish I had been like an analog channel on actual like broadcast TV.
Why would you start a new channel on broadcast TV now?
No, like one of those sub carriers, like the random shit that you find
still nobody buys
great.
cable now.
No, but like everybody got antennas. Antennas were hot again for a while.
Were they?
Yeah. People were cord cutting, and then people were buying antennas because they're like, oh, I can still get my local shit. All I have to do is like put this thing on top of my wall.
I know what she's talking about, but I don't think they ever had a moment where they were hot for a second.
Well, hot being like, more than like just me being a weirdo because.
So you mean a half dozen people bought them?
Yeah, that's all it takes.
And they had a moment.
Why wouldn't you just say 6?
I'd like to say half dozen.
It bolsters the number a bit,
Yeah. Anyway, also a few weeks ago there was a discotheque stream. Speaking of streaming, should use that segue. Speaking of live streams, so discotheque had one of their things that they do every few months, and they announced a bunch of junk as usual. So we got Lovely Complex.
Junk.
It's not junk. It's good shit.
Darius would be so insulted.
I mean, yeah, Justin would be insulted. Sorry, Justin. So they got Lovely Complex, which is getting a full brand new English dub, which is the first time they're actually like dubbing an entire TV series. So that's kind of a huge deal. They got the TV series of Nanoha. They had previously released a few of the movies. They got Belladonna of Sadness, which they are giving a 4K UHD release to.
Fuck that movie.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
It's so bad.
It's like it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. The concept is interesting, and I get it, it's from like the fucking 70s or some shit, so it's not going to look great. But it was just boring.
Maybe you just weren't high enough.
No, yeah, if I did acid, that movie would probably be awesome.
I think that's the case for most 70s anime.
I was so excited to see it too, because it sounded awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I think I watched it when it was still on Amazon Prime, and they were like, one of the most controversial animes, something or whatever, is going to leave Prime, and it won't be able to be watched forever.
Good
and I turned it on, and I was like, I can see why they made this decision.
I saw that in theaters at Alamo, and like the experience was cool, but as a movie, hard pass.
Well, now you can have your acid trip with HDR. So, also Chie the Brat, which is the TV version of a movie that was, well, both of them were directed by one Isao Takahata way back in the day. Rainbow, which is a Madhouse TV series from 2010 that was simulcast by Funimation. It was really good, and then it was completely forgotten about by everyone immediately.
I forgot about it until you just mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing.
I certainly have not thought about it in most of those 13 and a half years, but it was really good at the time, so excited to see that coming out. IGPX is also getting a re-release on Blu-ray. I think they Astro-resed it, so it looks like native HD. Looks super good if you're into that, and I mean...
Damn.
Yeah,
I just got the DVD like a year ago.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Shit.
Bummer. Well, this will look way better and have more extras and all that good shit, so sorry. Also, Handmaid May, which I don't know if anyone cares about that show. I guess people must. Duel, the old not Tenchi kinda Ava-ish series. Furakami, which was actually Justin's first Blu-ray that he ever authored, back when it was a dub-only Blu-ray for the first ever actual simuldub. First ever simuldub TV series. It came just after Gundam Unicorn, which both of them were NYAV Post and Sunrise, so probably similar partnership. But yeah, they're gonna. He gets a second crack at it, redo it. Obviously, it's going to be a much better authored disc and much better quality, and have the Japanese version, of course. That dub also has a bunch of like celebrities like Will Wheaton and stuff, so that's cool. It also has Peter Fernandez shortly before he passed away.
Damn.
Futakoi, adding to their line of harem series, I think. They talked about how they're like the home of harem anime now for some reason. So, enjoy that. It must be selling for them, clearly. Also, they announced last time that they were doing like Puss in Boots on Blu-ray, and this time they've got Puss in Boots Travels Around the World, which is, I think, maybe the third one. I don't know if they have the second one. I don't know what's going on there. And then last one is another Lupin the Third TV special. So I think they've released every Lupin the Third anime except like 2 or 3 TV specials. So that's Sweet Lost Night.
Oh, I should have grabbed Mystery of Mamo before Right Stuff went away.
Oh,
well. I don't know when I'm ever getting my order. Who knows?
Yeah.
I luckily grabbed like 6 of the Berserk omnibuses right before Right Stuff died, so it was my farewell to them.
I placed an order and they were like, "Hey, we're like your order is getting ready," and I'm like, "No, it's not, because you're missing like 3 items on it." And then I looked to see where it was getting ready from, and it was like Atlanta or something.
I pre-ordered the Ava 3.0 plus 1.0 collector's edition when it went on sale months ago, before we knew that Right Stuff was going away, and I got like a, what was it, I don't know, order receipt in the fashion of like the cash sale ones some weeks ago, and then a cash sale receipt a few days ago, and still no shipping confirmation, and it's been out and shipped from every other retailer for weeks now. So yeah, good shit.
Love it.
Yep. I guess speaking of that, they do have their version of the holiday sale starting up already, so you can check out. They've got the daily mega deals and all that kind of stuff, thousands of items on sale, bundles, all the stuff you'd expect from the Right Stuff holiday sale, I guess. They haven't brought the weekly studio sales, which is how I buy everything, so I like haven't bought stuff in like months. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this situation, so I guess I got to figure something out at some point.
I was just most annoyed at recreating my wish list. That part was a struggle, but
and yeah, they still don't have like your order history transferred over or anything. The accounts haven't been linked up, even though they were supposed to be by now.
Yeah,
I haven't looked in there. I'm afraid to.
Guess. They do have some new features. I'll give them credit. a lot of retailers that have like, franchise products like Hot Topic, stuff like that, they'll have like a search by series type thing, or filter by series. So they have that now, which, God, I feel bad for the fucking interns that they made map all 50,000 Right Stuff items to a specific series.
Oh, God.
But they have that as an option, which is pretty handy. And with that, they also have like subscribe for new items for this series, which is a cool feature. So I subscribe to like, I don't know, 150 things. Haven't gotten any emails yet, but it seems like it will be useful and also very dangerous.
Well, at least those interns didn't have to sift through like 8 million hentai series to link to, so that's a silver lining.
It's funny, they don't have hentai anymore, and they don't have, they claimed that they wouldn't have any live action anymore, and that's what Media Blasters conveyed as well. But all of Discotek stuff, including all of their live action, is on there. And that also includes the live action Recently My Sister Is Unusual movie, which is both live action and porn. So
Yeah,
I guess
I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah.
Nice. Toe the line.
Yeah. Two, I guess, double negative, two wrongs make a right, something like that. As long as it is both porn and live action, we'll list it. Yep. Anyway, that's all the news I have.
Brilliant.
Very good. I believe that means we can start talking about all this new that's coming out, and ones that maybe we haven't gotten around to watching yet, because I know we have a couple folks on here that are sort of at various places within shows, so watching shows but may not be caught up on them, just from how busy everything is. So yeah, I know we have a couple kind of heavy hitters and some really good shows. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about any one thing in particular to start off. I know we have a couple in common. So if there's anything that anyone wanted to start off with, then we can kick it off. If not,
I think Frieren has to be the obvious one, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it's a good lead-off bat.
Yeah, I didn't know until you had said anything, Kestrel, that this had like any type of pedigree or whatever. I was just like, this looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then turned it on just for having something else to watch. And I was like, oh, never mind. This shit slaps.
Yeah, to give a little background of that pedigree, what I was going into was very acclaimed manga, Madhouse, which, I've discussed in length, especially in our Top Studios episode, by far my favorite studio of all time. The director of Bocchi the Rock, the writer of the One Punch Man anime, the composer of Violet Evergarden, theme songs by Yo Asobi, who did the opening to Oshinoko, and Mile, who did the first ending of Vinland Saga. Lead actress is Anya from Spy Family. What I didn't know at the time was that they would also get like all of the top animators in the industry, even Yutaka Nakamura, who is a full-time employee of Studio Bones. So yeah, just about everything that I could possibly like wish for and get my expectations up way too high, and somehow it was still as good as I hoped.
Now, is there a reason for that? Like that all these really accomplished people are attached to this? Like, I don't know anything about the source material. Like, is this something super beloved or what have you? Like, because this is not a show that I would pick out of a lineup to be like, that's going to be the one that has all the really best people on it.
Very well received manga. Very desired and requested for a long time when it finally did get, brought over.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about it. It was like, it had good buzz.
Yeah, not so much here because, it's not a battle shonen. So, like, I feel like it misses most, popular circles here in manga. But anyone I knew that was reading it says it's, like, one of their favorite fantasy series out right now.
But for the 1% of the time that it is a battle anime, it is the best animated battle anime.
Yeah, it's literally we have one of the most stacked and grueling seasons of Jujutsu Kaisen, and somehow Frieren's competing with it with the like that cut. I watched the episode today with where they fought the dragon, and it was just absolutely insane animation.
Yeah, just that one sequence has, Nakamura and like 5 other top animators. But yeah, I think the intent was definitely to give it that kind of like, star-studded all-star treatment because at Anime Expo they had a big promotion for it with like Toho, some producer was there representing it, and he literally listed off all of the people that I had already been listing off for why I was excited about it, and all of the things that they had done that were also why I was excited about them. So I guess me and that producer of the show are on the same page in terms of who we want adapting material.
I am behind on that manga, but I don't think the anime is caught up to past where I've read. So I should really start it.
And yeah, like you mentioned, it was one of those series that got a 2-hour drop right off the bat. So got to basically experience a movie length of it from not even the first week of October. It even premiered in September. So we are like well into Frieren at this point.
It wound up being split later on though, because when I watched the first episode, it was just the normal 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. No, it was put on Crunchyroll as 4 episodes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They just all came out September or whatever.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Somebody told me it was like a singular fucking 2-hour thing.
Like Oshinoko.
Yeah, like that.
I don't know if in Japan they had like openings and endings in between, or if they just did it all in one shot. But I think for the actual like episode count on the Blu-ray and on Crunchyroll, it's all individual episodes.
Gotcha.
Does it have like a final episode count for the season?
I think like 28. I saw it's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. 2 core, and with all the extra episodes up front, it's longer than your average 2 core. Yeah,
Love
you're right.
it.
It's 28. Yeah, it's like everything I could ask for in an adaptation.
Wow. Yeah, I mean it is beautiful so far. I feel like there hasn't been a fantasy anime that has like gripped me in a while, and I feel like this is scratching the itch that Ancient Magus Bride did in the first season, but like it's kind of waning on me now, but I feel like Frieren brought it back. It's got very whimsical, and like you said, the score from the you said Violent Evergarden composer?
Evan Call.
Yeah,
My boy.
it's so good. It's just like that call to adventure and like whimsy of the soundtrack is like half of why I love it.
Call to adventure.
Yeah.
That's an episode
I was about
title.
to say it, and then I heard you start to say it. I'm like, all right.
That's amazing.
Speaking of same wavelength.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you for making my job easier.
By coming up with episode titles.
Mm-hmm.
It's only natural.
Yeah, we got all our powerhouse white boy composers this season because Kevin's also on Apothecary.
Yeah.
All 2 of them.
White boys. Yeah.
All 2.
The Splash Bros of anime composition.
So what else have I been missing that I should be watching? This season's stacked.
It's pretty stacked. I mean, is that all we wanted to say about it?
I mean, I don't know. You
I
guys
wish I
decide
had
now.
like anything to add, but I've only watched the first episode, and that's I feel like with a show like this, that's not really enough to judge it fairly. So
Yeah,
I'll hold my words until I'm more caught up.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
I mean,
I
I
can
feel like the first episode at least kind of captures the vibe and the pacing of it.
It sets like the premise well, but
yeah,
I mean, with any like you're looking at a series with a lot of emotional weight to it, and I feel like 20 minutes isn't typically enough to really convey that in the way that it's meant to be conveyed.
Yeah, I think I think this is not always the case for these series that drop a bunch of episodes at once. But I think this was a very good use of that because, I think over the course of those first 4 episodes, you really get a sense of kind of the emotional journey that you're going to go through. Beyond emotional journeys end. I don't know. I'm just coming up with because you get a little taste of it in the first episode, but you definitely get more of a sense of how is this going to sustain itself as a engaging, compelling narrative going forward. And yeah, those 4 episodes definitely show you all the kind of facets of it in terms of how Frieren interacts with the world and her former party and her new party and her emotions and her relationship with mortality, which are major themes of the storyline. So I think it gives you a good sense of how they approach all of those thematically and in terms of the production and the score and everything.
Elves aren't reticent and mature, they are just apathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like the first time the story has been told, but it's still a really good, really nuanced take on, how someone who doesn't experience mortality themselves relates to it in others, and that kind of guilt and regret for taking others for granted when you realize what you've lost. And it's fucking pretty.
It sure is. It's not the same, but it kind of gives me like a similar vibe to like Mushishi.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah, I think you've got a little bit of Mushishi, a little bit of Kino's Journey, a little bit of Violet Evergarden.
I caught notes of Grimgar.
Sure, yeah. You compared it to what, Makia? I can see that a little bit.
Makia? Oh, yeah. Like, as soon as I heard the premise, I was like, oh, Makia, except you're a mage.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, I need more Grimgar, bro. Where is it?
Yeah. Definitely the kind of series that I would happily show literally anyone. Yeah. Unless they just need all action all the time. But man. And it's I said the 1% of the time that it's action, it's super pretty, but it's not just that. It's all of the little subtle character animation all the time. It's just so incredible.
Oh, this bastard computer.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Not tried that yet. I've tried everything else.
What was it doing?
You should call your closest IT professional.
So I'm just gonna jump out a window.
Just blow into the porthole.
It's mainly my microphone thing. I don't even know if it's working properly. I don't even know what I sound like. I'm just talking in the dark.
You sound like a human being on Discord.
You sure do sound like Kane.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll just keep going like this.
I'm sure
we'll see what happens.
Fine.
You sound better than No Kane.
Ah, cool. Excellent. I'll just pop some quick thoughts about Frieren because I agree with basically all of you guys anyway. I really like how it blends Iyashike with some drama and action because it is an adventure story at the end of the day, but there's a lot of really fun, calm moments that just let you appreciate the characters for how they are in that world at that time. I'm also a big fan of how they utilize montages for the passing of time, even if it's 6 months or a few years, rather than just being and now there's a time skip and everyone's older. I think it adds a really nice little element of charm and allows you to feel like you're experiencing those moments with the characters because of how intimate the montages can be animated and the music played within them, since it's just can be stuff like it's just Frieren reading some books or chopping some onions like Fern's cooking or whatever. So it kind of feels like you're traveling with them in a way rather than a montage just being and now they're training and now they're carrying heavy things. I like that as a usage of how they pass time, especially because you almost have to, considering the scale differences between Frieren and the other characters. And if you wanted to really explore her journey, you can't just space it all within a year or two. but you also can't make the show last 1,000 episodes to cover that. So
The longest
I like it a
training
lot.
montage ever.
Yeah, I agree with Kestrel that this is the show, another one of the shows, and I'm glad we're getting a good amount of them, or at least I'm finding them. They may have always existed, but more shows that I could give to anyone and they would enjoy it as long as they can get over the fact that it's anime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a, a well told story, and the characters, like, we don't really know anything too much at this point, even if you're fully caught up about, Himmel and things like that. But every time they show like a flashback, I'm like, there's my man Himmel again.
Well, it's because she cares so much about him. And
Yeah.
it's just, you get so much empathy from, like you said, how intimate it all is. Like, that's why the emotional highs hit, because of all the really subtle, just little moments in those nice, pleasant Iyashike scenes.
Yeah, it really gives you time to sort of just create a relationship with the characters rather than just see them adventuring and just doing like violent adventuring stuff all of the time, which some properties that are in fantasy, you can struggle to create that connection with characters because they're not doing things that are inherently relatable to you, like they're sword fighting and casting magic spells, and like this show has that. But there's also times where like Frieren can, destroy giants at a whim, but she also has trouble just getting out of bed, before 11 o'clock in the morning and things like that. It creates a human connection that makes the show very enjoyable to watch, and I look forward to it. Um, what's funny, and this won't surprise anybody, is I actually don't like the opening theme only because the music in the show is so appropriate and beautiful, and then the opening theme is like a techno song. I'm like, this doesn't fucking fit. Like how the show goes, like this music doesn't accurately, at least for me, portray what the show is like. And then you have this like beautiful orchestral score that plays with volume dynamics and isn't just like big stereotypical like Hollywood style orchestral music where everything is just brash and loud and trumpets and horns. Like there's
Wob, 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 wob.
yeah, there's a lot of subtlety and well made and well played music and stuff, and it really adds to it. And then when the opening theme comes along, I'm like, nah, this ain't fucking it for me. This ain't it. Not that it's a bad song. I think if it wasn't on this show, I would like it more. It gives me some whiplash when the show actually starts and you don't get anything that even is remotely close to that.
It's one of
But
those LPs that like wakes you up in case you fell asleep.
but I think I don't want that though.
That's fair.
DJ,
I like
you
being
didn't
sort
like
of sucked
Idol.
into it.
What do you think of this one?
I like this song more.
Okay, interesting. I
Yeah.
can see it. Yeah. I will say about the opening, I do really like. I mean, I like all of the visuals, but the last shot where you get the past and present of Frieren's world, and then the same Frieren connecting the two, I really like that touch.
Yeah, I like that as well, like a mirrored version, and then it's like you slid the two mirrors together.
Yeah.
It reminded me of doing puzzles in elementary school when you had to use the mirror to make the shape symmetrical.
But yeah, just how it all comes together, and you're like, okay, I get it, because she's always the same.
Yep, it's very good, and I especially like the touch of every time Frieren's asked by Fern why she does magic, she doesn't want to say the answer out loud, but at least for me, I'm like, it's pretty obvious why you collect all these dumb little fucking spells. You just don't want to say it. So
It's just a hobby.
yeah, it's just a hobby. Nah, it ain't. Nah, it ain't. So yeah, very much in love with this show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those shows where, as I watch different scenes, I think of different people who would really love it. So like, during those Iyashike scenes, I'm like, man, Kane's gonna love the show. And then yeah, it's great. It's really got something for everyone, and it balances out so well.
Yeah, and I love that there's no like specific end goal, because I feel like this is the kind of show that while you're watching it, you don't have to anticipate, like, I can't wait till they get, to the Demon King's lair. Like, I can't wait till they do this. It's just, about them wandering, and like you're really like present in the moment. You don't have to like look forward to like a giant battle or like a tournament arc or something like that.
You just haven't gotten the permanent arc yet.
That's true.
That's the whole premise, right? That's the gimmick, the novelty is that this is the story after the story ends. Like everything that you hear in all of the legendary stories and all the great battle epics, that all happened in the past. We don't care about that anymore. Let's see what the epilogue is now.
Yeah. This is just like a director's cut epilogue.
Yeah.
Emily did think it was funny how tiny Himmel got.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, that's him? Wasn't he like 6 feet? And I was like, yeah, he got anime old person disease.
Yeah, I love the voice actor does a great job too, transitioning to old man voice.
Yeah.
Look, gravity's a joke, man. It'll come for you one day.
Everything about Old Man Himmel is just like total anime exaggeration. Like we're in a show where everything else is so grounded. It's like this is not the same human even a little bit, even 1% overlap.
Yeah, that's the legendary hero standing at a good 3'6".
Like nothing about them looks the same except the mole.
All right.
Pretty boys don't age well, real life or an anime.
Perverted priests age like fine wine.
Yeah, seriously.
I was trying to do the math on how old he is.
Yeah, well, apparently he's that math. I think he was the same age or as Himmel. It just because he seemed like he was middle-aged during their adventure, but I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, it was hard to tell. He had that Jason Statham thing going on where he just looks 40 all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely did confuse me at first. I'm like, wait, is he not human then? Because clearly humans age much quicker. Yeah, it was weird.
Well, I think I've got it out of my system, so we can move on now after the delay. How about let's talk about Spy Family, another popular show that I think everybody here except for Kate is watching.
And
I believe
like I said, Frieren is Anya.
Yeah, that's true. So we can just they're practically the same show.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same character, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it looks like everyone has pretty much given this some pretty decent reviews. I'm enjoying it, as is Emily. I don't think it is as good as the first part. I know I think we're going into like a big arc sometime soon here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And we'll get some story, it seems, centered around Yor, which is what I've been waiting for.
Much needed.
Much needed.
Yeah. I feel like Spy Family is still good. Maybe not as good, like you said, as the first season. It's just kind of, I think the whimsy of it kind of plateaued once everyone, got to the point where they're like, oh, I love all the elements of the show. And now it's, just continued doing that. And this season, has felt a lot more low stakes, a lot more focus on silly little Anya adventures. And even like Bond was like a main character for half an episode. But,
that was great though. So I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah. So I don't think it's necessarily the show's fault. Like I wouldn't say it's declined. It's just kind of gotten over the honeymoon phase of it, and it's still very strong. And I love the new opening and ending themes. But yeah.
Let's talk about, speaking of pedigrees. Opening for this season, we've got Otto, who is huge in Japan. And also for anime fans, she was Uta in One Piece Film Red, so she got to sing through an entire role in that movie, which was also a huge hit. She has an incredible voice, of course, and she's like, I don't know, 19.
Oh my god.
And she might be like 20, 21 now, but when she did One Piece, she was 19.
Jeez.
So that's already huge for, an anime theme song to get that. That theme song is arranged by Yoko Kanno, who hasn't done anything in anime in like a decade. And the Seatbelts, who have never had any credit except Cowboy Bebop.
That's insane.
And the sequence is directed and storyboarded by Masaki Yuasa.
Ugh, literally coming together of all things holy.
Yeah, seriously.
Which one did you also do?
The opening.
Okay, yeah, that makes
sense. You
sense.
can tell by that silly walk cycle they do.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
with their big
Yuasa.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the ending, I don't know about the staff for the animation, but the song is Vondi, who's been really big in anime lately. They did Chainsaw Blood, the first Chainsaw Man ending, and they did the second, or I guess it's a single person, did the second Ranking of Kings opening as well. He also collaborated with Otto on one of the songs from One Piece Film Red. And for this, he's collaborating with Corey Wong, who I'm not familiar with, but it's like a well-known American musician, so it's kind of a big deal.
That's neat.
Yeah.
I love the animation of the ending.
Yes. Very charming.
Charming,
Also,
bouncy, has like a fun, almost like, feels like 60s Art Deco kind of thing going on. With how, like, I don't know, it's hard to describe it other than it looks like it would be something that I'd see in like a commercial for like a brand new kitchen or something in the 60s. I guess it's hard to describe, but I like it a lot. I would watch a whole show animated like it.
The reveal at the end, I will say, is stolen wholesale from the first Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood ending.
Wow.
But yeah, I agree entirely with Brandon about that. I felt the same thing in the manga as well. Like when it started, I was like, "This is the best series ever," and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is pretty good." Same thing with the anime. Like I was really excited just to get it animated and to have such incredible production values and direction and everything about the adaptation, voice acting, etc. But once that kind of wore off after the first quarter or so, and especially now that we've been mainly focused on episodic little gag vignettes here and there, I go in, I enjoy myself, I have a few sensible chuckles, but it's not like blowing me away. So I am looking forward to the upcoming arc. Obviously, I know what happens, but you'll get your material, which is definitely needed, and we'll get some good opportunities for some action as well. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I think we just need, if it feels like, especially in the second season, the like speed of the plot like has just slowed to a crawl. Like I have no idea what's going on with Anya's school stuff. In a way, like where are we in the school year? Like what is the status here? Like she's bad at school and that's a joke, but like what is even like I guess it turns into like just where are we at in their timeline, which sometimes I find is detrimental because I know the whole point is she's supposed to get good at school so that they can do this stuff, and it just feels like we haven't had any movement in that section, even though that's supposed to be kind of the linchpin of this whole ordeal.
Yeah, it feels like Operation Strix isn't as dire as it like initially seemed.
Yeah.
We were only told about it at the opening narration of every single episode in the first season.
Yeah.
I think probably what happened is, the manga got really popular and they were like, oh, well, it's super popular and it's a comedy, so just make it go forever. And so that's why nothing ever happens or develops. Because, I don't know, maybe you disagree, Brand, but I feel like even where the manga's at, nothing matters. Like, there will be arcs that'll have serious moments and stakes, but, like, nothing matters at the end of the day. Nothing really changes.
Yeah, I feel like even though we have gotten a few more serious arcs in the manga recently, it's like it gets so close to maybe pushing some of the character dynamics further, like, oh, are they going to find out about this person's identity or this person's thing? But it always kind of either gets like a butt of a joke at the end, or like it all just goes back to neutral. So yeah, it does feel like the stakes they climb, but they never really pay off.
I'm gonna compare it and contrast it a little bit with um, fellow cute blonde boy meets cute black-haired girl romantic comedy Kaguya-sama, which I think is kind of like the antidote to the paradigm of romantic comedies following that same kind of trajectory of nothing can ever change or else we've lost our premise and we need to end the series. Because Kaguya-sama, I guess halfway through the full run of the manga, completely subverts that and, you know, gives you the satisfaction that you were looking forward to, while still having a story to continue and, you know, actually change the dynamic, which is amazing. So if they could do something like that here, I think that would be really beneficial, and maybe it'll happen eventually. The manga's still ongoing, obviously. But it definitely feels like the kind of normal romantic comedy style of, if we change things from where they were established, then we lose our whole point of the story, and then we have to end it before too long, and we can't risk that because it's too popular. That's the sense I get.
I mean, they do be selling lots of merch, I assume. So, and I mean, to be fair, I feel like there are plenty of people who watch Spy Family and are totally fine with that. I'm sure lots of people are. There's probably a handful of people that are enjoying the second season more just because there's so much like Anya antics and, you know, just like side plot stuff. And, you know, that's why they're making the movie. I assume that movie's just going to be lots of silly stuff going on. So,
yeah, it seems very Anya heavy.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah. They know it pays the bills.
Yeah. I don't know if this is true or if it's like a rumor the internet made up, but apparently Tatsuya Endo doesn't like Anya, like the character. I don't know if it's like how Akutami basically started to hate Gojo. Maybe it's some kind of thing where like, oh, the fans took my series from me by just like loving this one character, and it kind of changed the trajectory or not. But
right. I could feel like if he had some resentment about, you know, the editors being like, hey, can we get maybe another 10 volumes of just Anya fucking around in school? Because people are really into that. And he's like, I want to write all my characters.
Yeah. I can assume there was some editor pushing there. That's the life of a mangaka. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's interesting to think about what all of our favorite series would be like without editorial oversight. Like, yeah, probably some things would be worse, but if we could actually have the vision of the creators instead of what the editors force them into, I think we could probably get much more interesting stories some of the time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is pandering. And I appreciate it. I love Anya as much as the next person. I appreciate the pandering.
Oh yeah, I still saw plenty of people dressing up as Spy Family characters for Halloween this year, so like the love for it's still there. So like I don't think they really have to change much right now, but yeah, in the long run, I'm hoping the story moves forward at least to the next phase of what Operation Strix or something can be.
Right. Yeah. At this point, it's just kind of like, you know, Simpsons logic, where they'll just remain the same age and the same status quo forever, even though there's this...
Anya will flunk and do the same grade over and over again.
Right. That kind of checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I hope the show picks up. It maybe the pace or things mattering won't be as much of a detriment for me during this arc, because at least we can learn more about Yor and everything, since she has been neglected. But we'll see. I still like it. It's just, yeah, the honeymoon phase is a little bit over, so now they have to kind of gotta maybe figure something else out.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get some Thorn Princess action.
Indeed.
Other than her getting shot in the ass.
I mean, that was your content.
It was.
Yeah, I think
that's true.
honeymoon phase is a very appropriate term for this series in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, how about we shift gears a little bit, and Brand, let's talk about Overtake.
Yeah, let's do it.
What
Did,
was that a
did you,
pun?
yeah, did you see what I did there? I can do it too.
Nice.
I'm glad someone else is watching this as well as you talked to me about a little bit pre-recording here, because I do think it's good. It's much better than I expected, honestly. Though I know that F1 is increasing like in popularity worldwide, period, as a sport. So it
Yeah.
makes sense that we would get a show around now. Probably most likely thanks to things like the Netflix documentary. That really kind of inspired people to start watching and caring about, F1 racing. Granted, this is F4, but still. But overall, I'm enjoying the show. I find the photographer character, the main guy, pretty compelling, especially when you learn more about his backstory, about why he's the way he is and everything. And I'm glad we get a sort of a more human story next to the like racing action, so to speak. Especially since the show is a lot of things, but like with the CGI cars like well animated during the racing scenes I don't think is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not its real strong suit. It gets the job done, but yeah, you're not watching this as like a showcase of bleeding edge technology and pulse pounding F4 racing action.
Yeah, and it's probably for the better that the races are not the highlight of it.
Yeah.
But I agree. I do like that the main character is not, usually for any kind of sports type of show, the main character is going to be the guy in control, the guy in the driver's seat. But, he's kind of a third party that just happened to insert himself into this world. And it is interesting that he's a photographer and not like at all part of the racing world before it happens. So it's almost like you're learning naturally about how F4 and F1 works through him. And
he makes a
find it
good
interesting.
audience insert because there will certainly be people watching who don't really know anything, and the show's not going to try and like handhold you too much because he steps right into the middle of a season. So
yeah, and I think you made a good point that this is a good time for the show to be airing because I assume like many, when that Netflix series came out and like during lockdown, my roommate was really into F1, and so I by chance happened to like get into it a bit, and when I saw that this show was going to air, I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And I am pleasantly surprised that it is not focused on the racing and it's more about building up the organization and like, just trying to get their name out there and become like an actual racing club. I think that's a very interesting approach, and it is a very intriguing watch. And I agree that the main character is like you said, very like confounding, and there's like an emotional attachment that you wouldn't expect in a show like this that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, especially when you learn about like his past traumas and that his choice to not photograph people wasn't something stupid and contrived.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I could see this happening in real life, and it probably happens in real life quite frequently. So watching someone experience that, and that's sort of how I do like how he says that his career is like I think the description of the show did him dirty when it's like washed up photographer. I'm like, it seems like he's pretty successful still. Like he still has a job as a photographer, and people seem to request him frequently to take photographs.
Yeah, I mean, he basically got them in with like a sponsorship, and he's like talking to like the owner of one of the like biggest clubs. And it's like,
Bel Ceriso.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who like owns Bel Ceriso is like, hey, how about you come take pictures of the cars? We really like your photography skills. And this dude is like a gajillionaire.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's not washed up or anything. It's just he doesn't take pictures of people anymore because of a rather horrific emotional scar, like due to a photograph that he took.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I like how the racing is used. I was trying to think of a good way to phrase this. It's used as a way to move the plot forward through character development, so that the point of the race really isn't who wins. It's just used as a vessel for not only what's his name, Haruka or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, it's not just to be like, I want to be the best racer. It also is used as a vessel for his growth in relation to other people watching him as well. So it's kind of serves multiple purposes, which is nice. Yeah, I think it's, what is this, like Studio Troika or something like that, which the name is super familiar, but I hadn't looked up
Yeah. They did
anything else that they made.
All Noah Zero and I think Recreators. So,
And Bloom Into You.
Yep. and
There it
Bloom
is.
Into You, so like not a huge pedigree behind them, but I think they have a very like
They're great.
soft style. Yeah, I really like.
Yeah, I like the way they draw people.
Yeah.
They're very pointy. It's they're character design wise. I look at them like I look at UFO table character designs. They're just they're clean, but they're pointy and very new looking.
Yeah, they're pointy, but their dimensions and like the scale of their bodies isn't all fucked up. Like they're pointy, but they don't have like 6-foot long chins.
Yeah, they look great, I think.
Yeah, they're not Code Geass characters.
They're not noodle people?
They're not noodle people, no. No.
I was just going to say, speaking of some of those series and UFO Table, it is also directed by A. Aoki, who founded Troika, directed Aldnoah Zero and Recreators, and previously worked at UFO Table, directing Fate Zero and the first Garden of Sinners movie.
No. There you go.
Well, we haven't had any scenes of people just walking around in a circle talking for an hour yet.
Not yet.
That's why I'm not watching
it. I need exposition dumps, and I need them now.
Going back real quick to the driver character, I thought he is very refreshing because at first I thought he was going to be a typical like no emotions, just like I need to win, that's all I need to do. But it's nice that the big moment at the end of the first episode where he loses a race and he's crying, and that's the first time that the photographer character like can take a picture of another human again since his previous trauma. I think that's a really compelling way to tie these characters together, and it's nice that the racer has been like opening up over the episodes, because I thought he was just going to be like a hard shell to crack the entire season, but no, I think he's building up nicely.
Yeah, they're pacing his sort of coming out of his shell at a good clip. So it's not going to be, he's not sheltered away and standoffish and, just being an ass or whatever. And then all of a sudden he's not.
Yeah, like, and he very well could be because of the tragic backstory, but no, I think they're doing it justice.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. I think it has a lot of potential, and we'll see, especially once Haruka is clearly going to experience more success on the racetrack, because it's almost like as he opens up to other people and allows himself to be emotionally vulnerable, he gets better at racing because he can like lock into those emotions and instincts in a way. So he's obviously going to have more success on the racetrack, and I want to see how that benefits and also provides sort of more obstacles for him and the team. Since I doubt the whole show they're going to be, wallowing in obscurity.
Yeah.
Because he's doing these TV commercials and he's finished like 4th or so in a race, just like the last one. And I feel like just as that popularity grows and they get more money, which is always good, there'll just be more opportunities for him to have success. And then, because his goal to win a race pretty much in the scale of professional race car driving, like that's a pretty small goal.
Yeah.
And something that's relatively easy to achieve as compared to like, well, I want to make it to F1 or I want to win the season championship. He just wants to win a race.
Yeah.
So
it's a realistic goal for where they are.
it's realistic, and it makes me wonder what'll happen after he does, or like when he'll do it. Like if they're gonna make it for like this season culminating action, or if they're going to do it early on, and then we'll get some episodes where it's like, well, how does he deal with this newfound success, especially since he is clearly more introverted.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I would recommend the show to people, but I wouldn't try to sell them on the fact that it's a show about racing. It's
Nah.
it's about the characters, and I think the racing portion of it is almost secondary.
At least right now, yeah.
Yeah. And like, if there's people that need their racing fix, that MF Ghost show is basically the spiritual successor to Initial D. So if you need the street racing, Phil, there's a show for that. So, and still 3D cars. So, that's just what we're stuck with now.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it's enjoyable so far. Definitely my like dark horse of the season. Like I wasn't expecting too much.
Oh, for sure. I thought it was going to be crap when I turned it on. I was like, it's a new sports show and it's racing, and we don't get a ton of those compared to like soccer and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pleasant surprise. Well, the only other show I have on my list is Jujutsu Kaisen. So if we wanted to talk about that for a while, we certainly can, because I haven't started watching Pluto yet. I keep meaning to, and then I get sidetracked.
I mean, we have talked about Jujutsu Kaisen a lot recently since it's ongoing. So,
Well, can I ask one question about it?
Okay.
Did you guys think the animation in that one episode was that bad?
I haven't watched it yet. The one where
The dude was like making Twitter or X posts about like how garbage he is, and how like there was a lot of seeming controversy and drama around it. I noticed a downtick in quality, but I really didn't think it was that bad.
I
mean, it's a bad look for like how that whole industry runs.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, he was going through it.
Yeah, he was
like,
really
I'm the
going
fucking worst. Don't like compare me to everybody else who worked on the show. They're all great, and I'm trash.
Yeah, I managed to take a
Whoa, dude.
masterpiece and turn it into garbage or something. I was like, "Whoa, guy!" Like it was a fine looking episode. Like it was not the best one, but it wasn't like
just like the mounting expectations of it, and following up an episode that people would consider maybe the best animated Jujutsu Kaisen episode yet. I mean, there's going to be people comparing it, and I'm sure it's easy for him to like look at the previous episode and his own and be like, mine was nothing compared to that. But it's like, we all know to some extent how trash the conditions are for them as the animators in general. So it's like, they're going to fault themselves, and there's nothing we can do about that because, it's just how it is.
I think he also mentioned they had to complete and like edit and finish 250 cuts in 2 weeks, which I looked up. Yeah, I looked up how much that is because I'm pretty ignorant in that stuff, and from what I found, the general pace of like an anime studio is closer to like 60 cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So doing almost a little over 4 times. I don't know if it was 60 cuts a week or 60 in 2 weeks. So being generous, we'll say it's 60 a week. So they had to do over double the amount of cuts for one episode. Like, yeah, man. Like, that's a shitload of work. And if it comes out not looking as great, that's not on you. I was just like, did everybody think this was bad? Because I'm sitting here watching it. I'm like, this is,
Yeah, and
I've
of course,
definitely seen worse. Like,
some of the, I think, MAPPA higher ups, or even I think the president of MAPPA came out recently and was like, "No, we're doing fine. Everything's fine."
Yeah,
so, like, we're not going to get much from the inside,
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't watched. I think an episode came out today. I haven't watched that, so I can't speak to the quality of that. But it's just, of course, going to be harrowing because they still have to animate like however many more episodes are left, like 10 or 11 still to go.
Yeah, I did watch the new one before we recorded, and it's better, but it's still not insane. So, if anything, it cements my opinion more that episode wasn't that bad. Like maybe I'm just not appreciative enough of shit that I'm just like, it's fine. Yeah, some of their shoes look really big in some of the cuts, like Kingdom Hearts style.
I love that.
So some of the proportions are off, and there are definitely some. It almost looks like dropped frames occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah. They've
Yeah.
just made such an absurdly high standard for how that series has to look all the time that anything at all short of that, people are going to lose their mind.
yeah, it's dumb that he has to feel that way about that episode. I was just trying to get you folks' ideas. If it was it really that bad, or is this just an insane overreaction by both fans and then maybe the employees for feeling like they failed the fans? It was hard to gauge exactly.
Yeah, I think the latter, because, like I said, they just have this stupidly high standard, which is not only stupidly high, but absurdly unsustainable at the studio itself. So all of these people are just killing themselves to churn out this A+ content every week. And when you get an A- episode, everyone loses their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Alrighty.
I mean, even if the animation wasn't that great, it had a fucking old man whose power was themed around animation, and he starts his big battle with a big rant about how modern televisions all have frame interpolation turned on by default and how horrible and uncultured that is. That
Yeah,
was the
I felt
greatest
that.
moment in the history of anime. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like. That's incredible.
Yeah.
What really baffles me about that is when people don't realize it. Like you'll go to a friend's house, and they'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
Every
watching
time.
anime, and it'll just fucking look horrible, and you'll be
Ugh.
like, "What is this?" And they're like, "What's wrong?" Like, how do you not? How does this not burn your eyes?
Emily's
Literally me
parents'
going to
TV was like that.
Oh, it's just
Yep.
so
I was just gonna
unnatural.
say, literally going to my parents' house and changing their settings for them because
Yep.
my eyeballs are melting.
Every
Yep,
time.
I did it on the
Soap opera
sly at
mode.
Emily's
Like,
parents.
why does that exist? Who thought that was a good idea?
I mean, it's the same people that post on Twitter like, "Yo, here's the Choso Itadori fight in 4K 60
Yeah.
FPS. It
Right.
looks
It's
so
the
much
exact
better
same thing.
now."
Yeah. It's disgusting.
Like
But-
I saw all when Dragon Ball Super Broly movie came out. I saw so many clips of people reposting it in 60 FPS, and I'm like, "Are you telling me you think this looks better?"
Yeah, I mean, it's like it literally makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
It's so it gives me vertigo. It's so disorienting. It's awful. Yeah, that old man in Jujutsu Kaisen is now my favorite character in the history of anime, and his whole speech is just the most incredible, eloquent take on that whole phenomenon, and the fact that he does it while gearing up a fucking big boss fight is chef's kiss. Love
Yeah,
it so much.
it was amazing seeing that because I wasn't expecting it. I was like, this
Not at
dude's
all.
just spouting the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though I think
yeah.
frame interpolation, really quickly, I think it's useful for some sports.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
watching sports sometimes can get really janky, and I think the frame interpolation, especially if it's a bunch of people on a very bright green field, helps
Mhm.
smooth out that action because you can get a lot of really weird, dirty screen effect and shit from sports content. So
Mhm.
that's my best guess, but
Yeah. The dude, he goes over all the pros and cons. He's like, I get it. These are great things about it. That's cool. But if it is art made specifically one frame at a time, 24 frames per second, like animation traditionally is, and my power of animation is based around those 24 frames, you can't fuck with that. You can't have AI interpolating it. It just makes it completely destroys the artistic value of it. It's so uncultured. He's right. So right.
yeah, we can shift to another show then. Now that we talked about it a little bit, I'm just glad I wasn't the only one who didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But that covers the stuff that I've been watching. So we can move on to some stuff that you folks are. I want to hear about, especially because Kate's watching it a little bit. I'm intrigued by the Apothecary Diaries.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Let me just say first, before Kate takes it away, listen back, I don't know, it was probably like 6 months ago when this anime was announced. So like 2 episodes of the podcast ago. For
Shots fired.
when I talk about how Apothecary Diaries is a great series, it's getting an anime adaptation, and I was shocked that Kate hadn't read it because she would love the series. And here we are.
It was a J novel digital only release. I don't read novels in digital only, so
I don't either. Get the beautiful Square Enix physical manga volumes like I did.
oh well that was like it. I only remembered like about a month ago that Square Enix put out their own books now. So I have not been buying a ton of books in the last couple of years, it turns out. I don't have anywhere to put them anymore. But yeah, no, I was excited to partake of this series finally in animated form. I guess they are finally going to release the actual novels in print now. So
Yeah.
but they only announced that after the anime had finally come out that they were going to do that. A little late to
I
the
do
draw.
highly recommend the manga for anyone, though. It's really beautiful, and I think they probably took inspiration from the artwork of that adaptation, kind of like the Slime anime does.
Seems to be the way a lot of these places do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop me if you heard this one. Precocious, very intelligent woman ends up in a situation where she is working in the palace and has to navigate that climate. So yeah, I was excited to dive into this because I was immediately reminded of like Saiyan Koku, except for less harem-y with the man on the there's only one absurdly hot man lingering around instead of like 20. But yeah, I want to be Mema when I grow up because she's amazing. and I don't, it's just like the animation isn't like, oh my god, I'm gonna knock my socks off, but it's like punching way above its weight for what the story is, I feel. Because most of the time when we get stories like this, they're not animated particularly well. Or they used to never be animated particularly well. And at least the first 4 episodes of this show have looked amazing. So that's very, very, very exciting. Mama was amazing. She pitches her voice up when she's talking to like the people in positions of authority, trying to be like cutesy, which is really funny because it's like you're so used to hearing like the voice actresses like always talking in the high pitched like this is how they expect me to sound because I'm a girl, and she's just like, "Yep, I'm fucking here now. Okay, now what do I gotta do?" And she's just like really weirdly matter of fact. Like I also think one thing, it's really weird that she doesn't seem to be concerned about her elderly father. And even though she was basically kidnapped and hasn't returned home in like 6 months.
She doesn't particularly care about having been kidnapped in general. She just kind of rolls with it.
It's bizarre. Well, she's trying to keep her head down because I guess she realizes like no one's going to give a shit whether she was supposed to be there or not, or where she came from. So she's just like, I'm just going to wait out these 2 years and work doing this manual labor and not try to put myself forward and try not to get noticed and just earn as little for my kidnappers as possible and get the fuck out of here. And of course that all goes to hell because she's got a doctor's mentality and can't like just sit by as people are like injured and dying. So she had to stick her foot in the situation with the concubines in the inner palace and try to help them from not poisoning their children to death. Which, spoilers, doesn't work out so well for one of those concubines. But yeah, it's good. Very good.
Yeah. like I said, I love the manga. Haven't read the novels, but manga's very good, and I was excited when it got an anime adaptation announced. It is definitely a strong production. Really like lush color design, which I appreciate. Fits the aesthetic well. Like I mentioned earlier, Kevin Penkin is one of 3 composers working on it, actually. So definitely have a nice blend of musical stylings in there. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Good adaptation. Basically what I was hoping it would be. And yeah, no disappointment or anything so far. So I'm glad to have it in this format that I can share with more people.
Yeah, I was enjoying it for the first 3 episodes, and then when episode 4 rolled around and a certain scene hit,
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn. Okay, this is just how we're gonna roll now. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Frieren and several others. It was another one that dropped a bunch of episodes at once. In its case, it actually started very late in the season, so it just kind of caught up with those 3 episodes at once. But I do think that getting that 4th one would have been even better, because I think the 4th episode really elevates it beyond those first 3.
It's so funny because like on the preview at the end of episode 3, and they showed like the next episode, and they were doing the quick little cuts back and forth to scenes, and I'm like, oh no, it doesn't look like the animation's going to be as good. Well, that was not what was going on. What was going on is they brought in one of those animators that makes everything look super fluid and looks like weird in stills or like very truncated form, and like just like every little like blink and like head movement and stuff was animated in that episode 4. So looking at it from a distance, it was like, huh? And then once I saw it in motion, I was like, oh, they got one of these guys in here for this episode. That's strange. This looks like the episode is going to be mostly talking. And it was mostly talking. It was just very animated talking.
It's like one of those fucking idiots on the internet who like takes a random single frame from some like Yuasa movie or that Naruto fight or whatever and complains about bad animation, even though it's literally the antithesis of what animation means.
The infamous pain fight.
Yeah, exactly. They need a lesson from that Jujutsu Kaisen dude about what animation is and what frames are.
Over time. I had a college professor who was all like, who can tell me the definition of animation? And it was like an 8 o'clock in the morning class, and we're all, like, all of his film students are sitting there, we're like, and he was just looking for the rote response change over time, and like we were all like, why did you schedule this class at 8 o'clock on a Friday morning? What the fuck is wrong with you, Charlie? And no one wanted to spit out the actual answer to that question because we were all like, it's Friday morning. Everybody was out drinking last night. Why is this class scheduled for this time? I digress. Sorry. And I think, what is animation? I'm all like, I just hear Charlie yelling, change time. Come on, people, you should know this.
I prefer to see it as the study of change.
There you go. Fancy.
When pictures do stuff that isn't a picture.
There you go. That's also a good definition.
Yep. Thank you. That's one for the textbooks.
Yep.
When pictures aren't pictures.
Anyway, yeah, I think people might be sleeping on this show because it started super late. But
it definitely feels like it.
It started late, and it's like, oh, you do associate it with things like Sankoku and other things like that. Where you're like, it'll be like, low-key thing,
Kate,
whatever.
Kate, today's generation has no fucking idea what Sankoku is.
Oh, yeah, but people our age, or people my age, I don't know about your age.
Yeah.
There's 12 of us, okay?
Our is a strong word, Kate.
There's at least half a dozen of us.
There's at least half a dozen old bees out there who know what I'm talking about.
Are they all watching it on their antennas?
Hey, no. Got all sorts of subscriptions active right now. I've got an Apple TV. I've got Amazon Prime hooked up to my account from my father's finally. And I think I have a Netflix going right now to watch Pluto, which we'll probably be talking about shortly.
Kate's got them hookups.
I got all the hookups right now. I feel very like with it.
Definitely with it.
Definitely with.
Oh, with it.
I'm just reminded of that scene from Across the Spider-Verse where he's like, nobody my age says those words in that.
I don't.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk about Pluto, go ahead. Like,
I just want to say one more thing about Apothecary Diaries, and that is the opening and ending are really great. The ending song is great. It's just like there's not much going on with the animation. It's just flowers and floating. But God, why do they have to call now? Phone stop ringing. Phone stop ringing. Give me a second.
Peak radio.
Mother, could you pick that up so it stops ringing? Thank you.
A peak indicates life.
Yes, you too will one day be living with your elderly parents.
I think kids our days also probably don't know what a landline is. So
most people don't, to be fair.
True.
But it's a good place to send your spam. And where was I? The ending is great.
You wanted to say one more thing about the ending, I think.
The ending was great. It's just her floating through space, but the song is great. The opening is fun because it has a portion where Mao Mao becomes fabulous and is dancing around. And you know how I feel about dancing in openings and endings. So yeah. Dancing.
You will get to look forward to Mao Mao becoming fabulous.
It was in the preview. At one point she was dressed pretty fabulous, so
yeah.
But it's just funny because she's just and there's one moment at the very end of episode 4 that is just so hilarious and naughty and no, well, they heavily imply that she explains to one of the concubines how to service a man with her breasts. So, which is hilarious because looking at people's comments, you're like, oh, sure, she was just telling her like push her boobs up or something. We're like, everyone's like, no, that's not what she was telling her to do, whatsoever.
Yeah, this show is this series not as chaste as your average like anime that has everything to do with people who exist primarily to have sex, and it never acknowledges that. This show acknowledges that.
Yeah, like Mama was very upfront. She's like, I worked for a brothel, basically with my father, keeping the prostitutes healthy, and the prostitutes raised her, presumably because her mom was not in the picture. So she got all the education that she did not really want or request about how prostitution works. So, yeah, absolutely amazing. That she's just like, I'm ready to like lay down the all the knowledge to these very sheltered princesses who are residing in the inner palace, who are pretty but don't know the first thing about like sex beyond like lie here and take it. So
yeah,
it's very funny. All right, that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I mean, Pluto, I'm the only one who's actually watched more than like 2 or 3 episodes, right?
Think so.
Yeah, I've read it though.
I mean, I've read it too. I've read the whole thing, so.
Yeah.
Of course, I forgot most of the stuff. I was like, I had to go back and I'm like, wait, what happens again here?
The mystery is renewed.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know. I'm like, oh man, I can't remember I'm like, I remember all these characters. I don't remember why.
I think Urasawa is really good at making his mysteries so convoluted that if you just go a few years without watching or reading it, it's like a completely new experience.
Yeah.
Because same thing. I read it over the course of several years. I was slowly buying the manga volumes, which probably wasn't great for like remembering everything that happened at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I finished it not too long ago, but I certainly forgot stuff that happened early on. So that was kind of a fresh experience. And yeah, when I like go back through Monster, 20th Century Boys, I'm like, wait, what happened here again? I totally forgot. There's
much
just so
longer
much going on.
series too. Those are much longer series. And this, I'm like, oh, I remember what happens. This was pretty short. Start watching the show, I'm all like, I remember these characters. I remember how they're introduced. I remember a lot of these like sidekick, like the strongest robot stories. I cannot remember like what aside from like serial numbers filed off Iraq War, like why like things were happening the way they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, I'll just address the elephant in the room as it goes with Netflix series, but I think it would have been great to have this come out weekly so that, people can discuss the mystery as it's going. And being that episodes are an hour long each, it's already hard to commit to all 8 episodes within like a week or two of it releasing. Which is tough because I have been enjoying it a lot. It's hard to make the time to watch through more than one episode a night.
Yeah, going into it, I didn't realize they were hour-long episodes, and I was sitting there watching and watching and watching. I'm like, did this just roll into the second episode on me, or what's going on? And then finally I looked it up, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. That's how, okay, so,
Yeah, the irony of the binge model is that all of the batch shows that came out in the last few months, I have put on hold because I just don't want to make time for them. Like, still haven't watched the new Kengan Ashura season, didn't finish the second half of Baki yet, still haven't watched Scissor 7. It's like, all right, I like my weekly intake, and it's hard to shove a whole 12 episodes in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why
binge watch all this shit. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, with weekly shows, I'll watch anything that's like, above a certain grade. But for Netflix stuff that has the binge drop, which thankfully they don't do it with like actual weekly Japanese shows anymore. They do simulcast those now, but for the ones that are like, Netflix produced, that they are released worldwide in big chunks, I need it to be like, top tier kind of Pluto material, or else I'm just going to ignore it forever.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I'm at least started it so far, is that I was like, I can't let this pass by before it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
And it is very relevant, actually, the way the time it's being released is pretty crazy. I mean, even with the subcontext of, when it was originally made for the Iraq and Afghanistan war, it's like, that stuff is very much relevant again to today's geopolitics, so...
Yeah, the geopolitics, the AI discussion, like, could the show have been released in a more appropriate year than 2023? I don't think so.
Yeah, that was a little frightening, going like, hey, I remember when this was all fresh and new. It's like, oh no, this reads very fresh and new once again.
Yeah.
To plug my interview with Maruyama from Anime Expo from 4 months ago, I did ask him about that, and he gave me a brush it aside business answer. But yeah, that's a very relevant thing in like the first episode. Spends like, I don't know, 10-20 minutes just talking about the nature of AI and whether it can truly make art, and that's a very relevant topic today.
Yeah.
How does the show look and everything? Like,
Good.
Yeah,
Competent.
I say it looks incredible from the trailers and stuff. And really, that's the only reason I watch anime for the most part. So
it's very solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the character designs and like color compositions and everything are like very in line with Urasawa's art style. So like, yeah, the characters look perfect, and the environments look great too. Lots of like the wide city shots between transitions are beautiful. I think maybe like the thing that looks the least good are some of the visual effects for like the fire, when things like explosions or like dust or like the tornado effects, like they're not amazing, but
yeah, they look very CG.
Yeah,
exactly.
they just like contrast poorly against like the very sharp 2D designs, but they're serviceable. It's not going to really take you out of it, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the compositing is probably the biggest issue because I think those elements could be blended more competently, but it's because they aren't that it's more jarring and you get that sense of like real fake CG animation.
Yeah, I think the worst looking parts are always the Central Asian War flashbacks, just because just like muddy brown colors and CG explosions.
Yeah.
But besides that, it looks great, and even though there's lots of heavy dialogue scenes, I feel like the moments that need action cuts all look very good.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's a little inconsistent, but they definitely put the resources where they need to be for the big flashy scenes. So those are pretty stellar. And
Yeah.
it was in some sense or another worked on for 10 years. So they really took their time and made sure that everything was absolutely perfect for it. Maruyama established a new studio just for this anime.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It is his big passion project, the labor of love.
Yeah. And it's worth the endeavor too, because I think something that's very important for Urasawa's style particularly is like the drawing of faces. And I feel like the anime so far has very well captured like emotions on faces, despite them being robots that are, achieving almost like human-like emotion. I think they come across very good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of works as a metaphor of animation, right? It's completely human-made mimicry of actual humanity.
Yeah.
Robots and animation, kind of the same thing.
Yeah. It's I've been really enjoying it so far, but you finished it, Kestrel. Would you say that the production holds up all the way through?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's a little inconsistent. I think some episodes certainly look different than others, not drastically better or worse. But yeah, I think overall it's a really solid package.
Yeah. And I think, we have our caveats with Netflix, but I think at the same time, Netflix is almost a perfect place for it to land because it's something you can introduce people that maybe aren't particularly super into anime, but it has enough like real crime, like detective elements, and like the story's captivating enough that you might be able to sway some people. I mean, you don't really have to know Astro Boy history. It's a self-contained enough story, I think.
Yeah. I think it is, kind of fascinating if you do know anything about that because of just, how liberal an adaptation Urasawa gives it to put it into his style.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's such a, love letter as well, such a, loving homage because it was so influential to him. So it's a really unique and cool project.
Oh my god, that clip somebody posted online was so funny where they're like, I want to watch Pluto. We have Pluto at home. And it was like a clip of one of the Astro Boy series showing off like the scene of the character who is North number 2 in this adaptation, and basically talking to a guy, and it was just like this short truncated like thing, and it was just like so it's like yeah, a lot changed in this story.
And I mean, Tezuka was a brilliant artist, but this was not like his magnum opus.
No.
Yeah, that I would like to go check out the previous iterations of this story now. I know they're all, very short, very inconsequential compared to this interpretation of it. But now that, I have so much connection to this version of it, I would like to see how it started and how it's been told previously.
Yeah, you're only gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be
I know.
this is what okay. Wow.
But I don't know, there's something like appealing about that to me, like seeing how different it was, how it started, and just like what Urasawa was able to create from so little.
Yeah.
So, where the fuck's my 20th Century Boys anime, huh?
Yeah. Please. Maybe, hey, maybe
Someday.
that'll be their next 10-year project.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Well, he's the same age as Miyazaki, so I don't know if he's got another 10 years left in him. But I guess the same goes for Miyazaki, because it's been 10 years since his last movie before this one.
Yeah, before his last final movie, that was this last one. That was also the final movie. That won't be his final movie.
At least this one he didn't actually ever say it was, and he immediately went back to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Maruyama talked about how Pluto was like the culmination of his career, because I talk about all this in my article too, but he started at Mushi Production working under Tezuka 60 years ago, the same year that Miyazaki started in the anime industry too, the year that Astro Boy was first released. And then he, produced every anime adaptation of every Urasawa manga that got one. And now, he's helming this big 10-year passion project of the combination of those two. So it's pretty poetic in that sense.
Okay, what else? What else everybody been watching?
I haven't heard from DJ in like an hour.
I mean, yeah, I haven't watched a lot because I've been mad busy. Like I started 10 different series and none of them have been super impressive. I really enjoy 16-bit Sensation just because it is a total love letter to just visual novels. And it knows what it's talking about. And just the idea of a fucking Zoomer illustrator getting sent back to the 90s to draw shit in Microsoft Paint is fantastic. And I think it handles the time really well, like the rise of visual novels, and it's cool seeing how they used to do shit now that technology is crazy and just digital art rules everything. But I don't know, it's informative and it's very it's like if Shirobako and Remake Our Lives turned into or had a baby or something like that. It's fun, and it was also cool seeing a girl go on a rant about Kanon for 3 minutes, which isn't the thing I expected to see in an anime. But again, only 2 episodes in, so I can't really speak to if it continues to maintain that same level of passion for the subject matter it is centered around.
I hadn't heard anything about this, but I just looked it up, and the main character seems to have a snaggletooth little fang, so,
Great.
90 sensibilities are there.
Yep. Fantastic character.
Gotta love the Fang.
Yeah.
I love Fangs. Yeah, she's a good heroine. Also, we got another mainline Idolmaster series that's solid. It is the first CG assisted mainline Idolmaster series. But it does it in the way that Love Live's kind of doing it now, where it's not really invasive and it's kind of just it looks natural. Some fans who are just pure 2D purists are talking shit on it, but they're wrong because it doesn't look bad and it's just more generic Idolmaster, which is always welcome as far as I'm concerned. And Goblin Slayer is still good too.
Yeah, I considered watching another season of Goblin Slayer, and I was like, do I really want to do that to myself? I don't think I do. I didn't.
It's having a protagonist who just really knows what he wants to do.
It's like the anime version of Doom Guy.
Driven individual. He's got a goal and he just goes for it.
That's true.
We're here to do one thing and one thing only: killing goblins.
That's all he cares about. It's so refreshing. You never have to oh man, I wonder what Goblin Slayer's thinking. It's just you always know. It's good.
Yeah, I had the same thing, Kestrel, where there's been enough time between this and the first season that I was like, do I want to watch it? I don't know. This season was already hard enough to keep up with.
Exactly. The season had so many great things that I was like, Goblin Slayer is just barely on the line of acceptable for me, so probably not worth getting into another season of it.
Mm-hmm.
Arknights has been surprisingly good too.
That was another one I didn't follow up the first one.
And I don't blame you for that at all. Because it started off strong, but then it became just Arknights as it went on, which is what the series does. It's very wordy and slow and unnecessarily complicated. But at least the first couple episodes of this season have been pretty action-packed and dramatic and enjoyable. But yeah, it's definitely still Arknights.
I want to hear about Shy though.
Only watched. Actually, no. I watched 2 episodes of this one as well. Shy is, fine. It's just another like Western hero type premise where every single country has its own hero, and the Japanese hero is named Shy, and she's just really shy, and I guess her power is to fly. Maybe really, she's kind of just a generic superhero.
Pretty
but
versatile.
yeah, it's surprisingly dark, like just from a visual, somewhat tonal perspective. Not to the point where it's like an adult's show, but it's definitely not as like childish as I expected it to be. Like there's blood and people die and shit, and I'm like, okay, well this is not really what I expected. But again, I didn't expect much going into it because A, I don't really like superheroes just as a genre, and B, the art style at first glance doesn't look like it would really delve into visual material like that. But it's fine. It's just not super interesting yet because, at least for me, I'm not fond of the like super overly shy characters to the point where it's like kind of gimmicky, like a Comey type character. And it's kind of just her monologuing about that a lot and being sad that she is shy. So, yeah, that's basically what I've got out of that show so far.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else that anybody wanted to catch us up on, or anything? Any pleasant surprises or sad disappointments or anything like that? I know we've covered most of the heavy hitters and things of that nature. So, I imagine there isn't much more about that. But I don't know, Kestrel, if you had any shows that were surprisingly pleasant or anything like that.
I mean, everyone is surprised that I'm watching the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You.
That is a little shocking.
Too many girlfriends. I'm not even watching that show.
No, it's a satire. It's really funny. Basically, the premise is this dude never can get a girlfriend, so he goes to a shrine to pray to get a girlfriend, and the god of the shrine shows up, and he's like, yeah, don't worry, you got 100 soulmates coming up. I was filling out your paperwork for how many soulmates you're supposed to have while I was watching Castle in the Sky on TV, and I accidentally wrote down my score for the movie, which was 100, so you have 100 soulmates now. By the way, if you don't fall in love with any of them and end up with any of them, they'll die. So good luck with that. So that's the show, and and they're all like extremely exaggerated, over the top, archetypes. And I don't know how they're gonna do 100 of them. Like
so many, yeah. Like
this season is obvious. The season is obviously only 5, so that's all we have to worry about for the foreseeable future.
There's still fucking 95 left.
Yeah, I have no idea how they're planning to do that.
Anime version of 80 lines about 44 women.
Oh, my game had a lot of characters. This is absurd.
Yeah,
DJ, what are you doing?
Yeah, seriously.
I gotta catch up.
How many millions of words you got? You don't even have 100 girls.
It's trying to compete though with your word count, because it has. I think that's the show with the infamous manga panel. That's just like fucking like a whole essay's worth of dialogue.
That sounds like it.
A lot of manga has done that periodically.
But yeah, it's very constantly fourth wall breaking, and just like talking about how fucking stupid the premise is, and just like taking digs at harem shows. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I get legitimate laughs in every episode, so I'm having fun with that. The other pleasant surprise, I guess, was Undead Unluck because I read the first few chapters of the manga when it came out and was not feeling it. But it's a really strong adaptation from David Production, and I haven't looked up the director, but some really deftly directed scenes, especially early on. So yeah, they're giving that the star treatment as I guess most Weekly Shonen Jump series get at this point. But I'm definitely enjoying it a lot more than I ever thought I would from the manga.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to look as good as it does. And yeah, doesn't disappoint. I'd say for the Battle Shonen heads, it's a hot contender for the season.
Oh God, that's the image? Okay, yeah,
Holy
that's
shit.
extreme.
Yeah, that's the manga panel.
Yeah, this is how
Oh, the poor
fucking
translator.
This is how extra this series goes all the time. It's like any I mean, I guess it's kind of there in the premise, right? Like your normal harem has 5 girls and that's way too much, right? So what if we did 20 times that? It does 20 times every absurd, exaggerated trope that you could think of in every way. It's amazing.
That's fun.
Let's see. Yeah, my real quick disappointments are the Hanako-kun spin-off because they announced like new Hanako-kun anime and it's just, a fucking 5-minute gag vignettes. So
No.
whatever. We'll wait for the next real one.
That's no fair. That's cheating.
And also my new boss is Goofy. His new boss is not fucking Disney's Goofy. I can't believe it. I was pissed.
Imagine.
You got that paperwork for me?
Exactly.
They didn't make it one episode before just being sued into oblivion.
Yeah, when does Goofy go into public domain? Come on, guys, you could have waited a few years. That's it.
I will. The one weird left field show that I wanted to briefly mention that I'm watching is Under Ninja, and so I only picked this one up because it's a series by Kengo Hanazawa, who did I Am a Hero and the zombie apocalypse manga, and very very weird kind of characters that this guy creates. So I was just kind of curious what his new series would be like, and it does not disappoint in that the characters are very strange. The plot's also strange because it's about how every country has their own secret service or spies or whatever, but Japan has ninjas. Ninjas still exist, but you just don't know it. Anyone around you in society could be a ninja working for the shadow government, and yeah, it's about what I expected so far. Just very weird character interactions, and the author kind of uses them as a speaker for his own things to complain about half the time. But it's interesting enough that I'm holding on to it because I want to see where it goes, because it's kind of what I Am a Hero did for me, where it got really convoluted and then really wild by the end. So I want to see if this jumps the shark at some point. But it doesn't look great animation wise, so not too appealing to most people, I would assume.
So if it jumps the shark, it would be over the shark, but it'd still be under the ninja.
But it would still be under the ninja, yes.
Interesting.
Alrighty, well, I think that just about covers it then, I would think. So now's the time where we can jump into any recommendations for stuff for people, especially because we've had a lot of video games and other maybe sort of anime adjacent things come out. I'm sure there's lots of stuff that's entertaining people at this point. Mm-hmm. So why don't we go around the horn here, and I'll just start at the top of the Discord list. Brand, do you have any recommendations or anything?
I got kind of an obscure one. I know it is past Halloween now, and everyone might be a little spookied out, but they just released the final 1.0 version of World of Horror, which I've had it for the last like year and a half or two, playing it in the early stages, but it's like a point and click Junji Ito inspired horror RPG.
Very
And-
Junji Ito inspired.
Yeah, and it's very fun, and the dev has slowly been like adding content to it over the last 2 years. So I think now that the game has like an official release, it's definitely worth checking out if you have any interest in like old school point and clicks and you're interested in very gory and graphic pixel art.
It has a very unique look.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, I thought about picking that up on the Steam Spooky Games sale because I had seen it and it looked really interesting, but I did not pull the trigger though. Maybe I should have, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go on sale.
It's also not expensive in the first place.
No, it really isn't. But yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're into that stuff.
All right, Castro, what about you?
Yeah, so a couple of recent anime Blu-ray collector's editions that, if you're like me, you've been charged for and have not had shipped. As I mentioned, those include the Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.11 Thrice Upon a Time 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray collector's edition. You can also get the standard not UHD Blu-ray if you are a scrub. Also, because Viz is really good at releasing stuff real fast, as of 2 days ago, you can finally own 2020's top anime, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, in its entirety on Blu-ray.
Wow.
Unless you ordered it from Right Stuff, in which case, from Right Stuff, in which case Crunchyroll still hasn't shipped it to you.
In which case, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think those are my recent anime recommendations. Also just came out on that day was the Full Metal Alchemist 20th anniversary art book. Viz has a nice hardcover for that you can get for like, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks. That's pretty slick. If you're a Disney fan, I guess I should say, back when it was the 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers earlier in the year, I said, go watch your favorite Warner Brothers stuff. Disney's 100th anniversary was also this year, a few weeks ago. And on the 100th anniversary, or the day before actually, they released a little short called Once Upon a Studio that if you like Disney stuff at all, I think you'll really like that. And I wrote about it a lot as well, which I'll get to in a bit. But yeah, that had Goofy at least. I mean, Jesus, come on.
But did it have union busting?
What?
I said, did it have union busting?
Yeah, of course. And the recommendation that you were all least expecting to hear from me is Taylor Swift The Eras Tour. Not the actual tour, unless you want to spend a lot of money and really care.
Yeah, the movie is out.
Movie, yeah. You can experience the tour, and kind of from better perspectives than you could ever get in the audience. A lot of the time, it's pretty incredible production, both the actual tour and the filmed version of it. So, yeah, if you're willing to accept that, even though she's the biggest pop star in the world, she's also like a really good artist.
She's great.
Yeah,
I'll admit
really
it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, I respect her business acumen, but not for me.
He has one album I fucking adore.
Which one?
The one that New Romantics was on. I can't remember what it's called.
Okay.
I saw a
yeah,
funny edit online that was her 1989 album, but it had Gojo on the cover instead of her. It's pretty good.
Nice. That was 1989 New Romantics.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
She just released her re-recording of that like last week.
I was so scared because I went to see Killers of the Flower Moon last week, and there were people warning on Twitter. They're like, I hope to God your theater isn't next to a screening of the Taylor Swift movie because people are going insane.
Yeah.
I remember that was
a really fun theatrical experience.
Yeah.
If you go to that movie. If you go to one next to it, the worst.
Luckily, my IMAX was not touching any of those screenings next door, so
yeah,
got out unscathed.
Luckily, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon at the Chinese theater, which is not attached to anything else.
Nice.
And also had Martin Scorsese there to do a talk. So
No,
neat.
That's
flexing
so
his
awesome.
LA
God damn.
And
yes
man,
right now.
I've got to counteract the FOMO that I feel from all these guys going to Japan.
True. Oh yeah, my recommendation: go to Japan.
There you go.
You got
pretty
it.
Cool.
In 20 words or less, how is Ghibli Park?
Underwhelming. Don't go.
Fantastic.
Solid.
Almost like 75% of the exhibits were closed. It's way out of the way. Not worth your time.
Yeah, I read like a New York Times article about it, how it was just their excuse to get people to like go out into the woods.
Basically.
It's
But
not
like
an actual theme park at all. It's
all
just
the
a
woods
park
are
park.
closed. They just had like the museum was the only thing open, and like cool statues and recreations of stuff from the movies. But and then you can stand in a 2-hour line to go into like a different part with more stuff. And I was like, well, we spent half our day getting here, so we can't wait in line for that.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Japan in 5 days. So I'll piggyback off of that because my only recommendation is loosely related to it. Bocchi the Rock is available for pre-order on Blu-ray, and the loose relation comes in the fact that I am going to Shimokitazawa for a fucking random-ass indie rock concert of a bunch of local bands on my second day in Japan. So I'll
That's
be able
sick.
to see where Bocchi and the crowd hang out.
Love that.
I'm really excited for that.
I pray you make it back from Hinamizawa without murdering everyone around you.
That is like day 8, I think. So at least I'll get a solid week worth of Japan in before I die.
Good. That's good.
Excellent.
I guess
Fantastic.
one thing I didn't mention for a pre-order that was just announced today is Crunchyroll has this fucking absurd Code Geass collector's edition that
Oh, I saw.
I'm contractually obligated to own. So
Is it like $600, $600?
I don't want to talk about it right now.
That's too much
It
money.
looks like an
It's
entire
not-
desk. It looks like a huge, like almost like a makeup compartment, like fold out. It looks insane.
For
I'm gonna
code.
need a new display case like I have for Legend of the Galactic Heroes. It's like twice as big as that and
Yeah.
like way more complex.
You're gonna need to like
I
get
think that's
the,
more respectable.
yeah, you're gonna need to get the measuring tape out and see if you have enough square footage left in your place.
Yeah, seriously, it's ridiculous.
That's all nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Are we up to me? Am I supposed to do a recommendation?
Either
Yeah.
that or I can go before you. It's fine.
I don't know what the order is.
Okay, I'll just go real quick because I have
You gotta
one sort of and one definite. So the one definite is Like a Dragon Gaiden comes out on the 9th, and everyone should fucking play it because
Yo,
all the Like a Dragon games are just ridiculous.
this will
So-
get people cooked. There's a Animal Crossing style mini game that you can just probably sink 100 hours into.
You even catch the bugs and do like the bug catch animation afterwards from
Yeah,
Animal
that looks
Crossing.
fun.
It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I think I read at one point in time they have like an arcade cabinet in Gaiden. It's either going to be in Gaiden or The Man Who Erased His Name, one of the two, I think.
Mhm.
The arcade cabinet is a game from Sega that you can't even play as an arcade cabinet anymore. Like it was never released.
Not
So,
Yeah,
so they just digitized the cabinet and then you can play the game and people are unreasonably hype about that.
They're
Oh yeah,
so
it's like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I think that's the
yeah.
sequel, and Gaiden is the one that's just about what happened to Kazuya before, like in
Those
between.
games out so fucking fast, man.
Jiryu. I love that Sega has this reputation of like releasing games in Yakuza that you can play that aren't playable anywhere else. Like I'm pretty
Yep.
sure the last playable version of Virtua Fighter was in a Yakuza game.
I think it
Yep.
was the last one.
Yeah.
It was in like every single Sega arcade you went into. It was the whole ass Virtua Fighter 5, I think.
They had
Yeah.
achievements for it too.
Yeah.
That's insane. I love that.
They
I
just
love how
have
many
other
games
games in them.
Bro, they just need to
so
put
cool.
they just need to put Kiryu in Tekken 8 and I will instantly buy him.
I hope they bring back the fucking Cabaret Club minigame. That shit was my
Yes.
jam.
I had spent probably as much time doing that as the main quest.
That was me in the fucking like the business ownership one in the last game, like the fucking where you had to like acquire companies and shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Hire the chicken as a manager. I love
Yep.
that.
The chicken was
recommendation.
great because you
Nugget's
barely
my
had to
boy.
play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nugget. Fucking amazing. The sort of recommendation is, I've been reading the really nice, like, I don't know, like Viz signature pieces of Fist of the North Star, and Volume 11 is coming out soon. So I can wholeheartedly recommend this like re-release of all of them. The art's really great. Everything is very like sharp and pristine. I can't really recommend Volume 11 because it's like the time skip, and people who like Fist of the North Star really don't particularly enjoy that phase of the story. But just to have the the collections and everything, it is very good, very solid quality. So I would recommend that, especially just to read Fist of the North Star. Like, if all you did was watch the anime, like the manga is so much more insane. It's closer to the movie in terms of how over the top all the gore is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
those hardcovers are really nice. I have the
Yeah.
first one, but it's kind of dreading to me that there's 10 more that I would need to buy.
You would need at least 9 more to finish kind of like the part of the story that everyone agrees is good.
Okay.
Like with Rao and everyone when Rin and Bat are still kids before the time skip and all that. But yeah, everything's really solid about them. And Tetsuo Hara's art is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Kane, are you reading the manga from Viz that I told you to read? That would make DJ really happy if you said yes.
I don't know if I can remember what it is, so it's probably on my list.
Probably not.
Was it Goodnight Punpun?
Yeah.
No, that is next.
Okay, cool.
I started Fist of the North Star because I listened to a podcast about the video games, and I was like, yeah, I would like to experience this story again, especially because I hadn't read the manga. I had watched the TV show and watched the movie and played a couple of the games.
Poon Poon will be an excellent winter seasonal depression read.
Hey, I warned him that if he wasn't in a good state of mind, he should not read it. All right,
That's the best time to read it.
Not everyone likes suffering as much as you do.
Oh my god, I love it. I just bought Asano's other fucking one of the ones I haven't read yet, the Dead Demons one.
Oh, I love that.
I haven't read it yet, but it's in my hand right now.
It's hot take. It's my favorite series of his. I like it more than Poon Poon.
Oh geez.
I'm on the final volume. I haven't read it yet, but yeah, it just wrapped up I think a few months ago. He's already got a new one he's working on too.
Yeah, he never stops working.
Yes,
He's a sad man.
Needs to share that sadness with the world.
Or is he more like a Junji Ito where he's actually incredibly happy?
No, he's sad.
No, he's depressed.
Did you watch fucking the season of Terrace House with Pepe on it?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Inio Asano is the one that he apprenticed for.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's funny.
Now
okay,
imagine.
I take it back.
Imagine that state of mind times 100, and that's the manga that I've recommended you read.
Well, it's definitely on the list. I have that, and then 20th Century Boys.
Yeah. All right.
And then what was the other one that I wanted to read? It was on the Viz app, but not on Shonen Jump. Floating Classroom or something.
Drifting Classroom.
Drifting Classroom.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Cool.
That was good.
I know nothing about that one. It just said Drifting Classroom, perfect edition. I'm like, well, this must be pretty good. I guess it has a perfect edition.
Good old fashioned like Lord of the Flies, like post-apocalyptic kids killing each other stuff.
Oh,
like
so cool.
3 fat hardcover volumes.
Very good.
Well, we just brought up 20th Century Boys. Kestrel, would you recommend digging up the old volumes or the new perfect editions? If you
get the new perfect editions. I mean,
okay.
The old ones were nice, but the new ones are at least as nice and 2-for-1s. And
it says perfect on it.
That's
It's
true.
perfect.
Yeah,
Literally
the old
perfect.
ones are
Literally.
harder to find too. I only
Yeah.
have like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, unless you started collecting the old ones and want to complete it, yeah. I mean, I had all of the old ones and still bought all of the new ones and just gave the old ones away.
Yeah, but that you don't count.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
You
if they were inferior, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it for me then.
Okay, I have one recommendation. In this fall of a zillion games that are all reviewing way too fucking well, there is a game that was released today. So, okay, full disclosure, I have not played this yet. I'm just recommending this because I purchased it, and therefore I think everybody else should have to purchase it too. And it is called Little Goody Two Shoes. It is one of Square Enix's like side releases with a like their indie title sub release thing that they do occasionally for other people. It is developed by Astral Shift. It is a survival horror management dating sim
Whoa.
where with an art style that looks like a Sega Saturn game with character designs that look like a 90s anime. So the girls look like very Slayers-esque, like very big eyes, lots of shinies. Like somewhere between Slayers and like the costume shading of like one of the original oh, what the hell is this? Growlancer games or something. You know, like a cross between that look and that look. There are three girls you can romance, so it's a Yuri dating sim. And it's been getting extremely good reviews. Like most of the games coming out now are getting absurdly good reviews, and I don't have the time to play all these games, so I don't know what I'm gonna do.
What's it called again?
Little Goody Two Shoes. There's a demo available on Steam for PC. It is out on PC, PS5, probably Xbox, possibly Switch. I'm not sure.
It's a weird looking game.
It looks
It
like
is weird looking.
Slayers, but Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, kind of. It's got that look going on for it. And then yeah, very Sega Saturn-y style pixel graphics for the overworld stuff.
I was looking at that yesterday, actually.
It's very, very, yeah, it's got a very retro feel, but I think it's made by like a European or French studio or something. I don't know. So, and then published by Square Enix. It's got quite a worldwide pedigree situation going on here. But yeah, definitely trying to appeal to people who are in a certain mindset of a certain decade.
The half a dozen, sorry, who
The
have
half a dozen.
antennas and remember Simon Koku.
Man, those people are eating today.
Seriously.
So, this is not aimed at that same group, but it's definitely aimed at a Sega Saturn crowd, but with
At least half of the half dozen.
yeah. So that's it. That's my one recommendation. Just because this is so weird. This is such a weird thing.
It does sound super interesting, so I think I'll have to check it out as well. That mishmash of genres is always something that's either going to be great or just totally fucking flop on its face. So, yeah. All right, cool. Well, then, I think that about wraps everything up. So, how about Kestrel, you tell everyone where they can not only find you, but find the show.
You can find the show anywhere you find podcasts. You can subscribe, rate, and review. Please do so. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Alexa, Facebook, whatever. We're on fandompost.com. You can find the episodes posted there, as well as all of us individually. And you can follow us on social media. If you're still on Twitter or whatever, we're on there, Fandom Post Radio, and we're on Facebook as well. And you can just get in contact with us via email if you don't want to acknowledge any social media, which is understandable at this point. We are at fanpostradio@gmail.com. And I am on Twitter at Full Metal Kyoma. I don't post much, just appreciation of that old dude from Jujutsu Kaisen. And sometimes promoting stuff I write for the Fandom Post, which includes reposting that 4-month-old Pluto interview with Maruyama that I talked about. Check that out if you're watching the series. And also, I went to the Animations Film Festival at the Chinese Theater here in LA a few weeks ago and got to do a little bit of red carpet coverage with the staff of the new Spider-Verse spin-off short film. That's super good, so you can read about that, and the directors of that Disney short, Once Upon a Studio, as well as the directors of Disney's upcoming 100th anniversary celebration film, Wish. They had a panel there, so I talk about all that a bunch, and also a few anime movies, 2 of them that I don't really care about, and one of them, which is the first movie from Hayao Miyazaki in 10 years. So you can read 3,000 words where I do not say anything about the film itself.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Brian, how about you?
You can find me at Hellshake Brando on most socials and stuff. I haven't made or written too much lately, but might be writing some physical manga reviews for the Fandom Post in the near future. I hope. I have this innate fear that Chris is still sending my physical review copies to my old address, so I hope that's not true. So maybe in a few weeks.
You could just ask him.
I have, but I still have this innate fear in me somehow because I've had stuff still show up to that old apartment. But in case that isn't the case, I might be getting some physical reviews up in the next couple weeks. So look forward to that. Maybe.
Excellent. How about DJ?
You can find me on Twitter /X at DJ No Style. I don't really hang out anywhere else, and I barely hang out there at this point. But you can also find my video game at lessonsandlovegame.com. Those are the places.
Wow.
Fewer than 100 girlfriends, I hear.
35.
That's still a lot.
It's
Yeah.
it's a fucking lot. I'm
More than a third of the way.
word game, Kate.
More than I have.
So by 6 million words, you'll have 100.
I sure hope not.
And Kate.
All right, you can find me at the Fandom Post. I am reviewing Dr. Stone again because it is back. I didn't mention it because it's just more Dr. Stone, and it is no known quantity, and it is still good. And I am reviewing Apothecary Diaries. I just submitted a review for DRCL, which is a retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where the cast are children at a boarding school. It has luscious, gorgeous, amazing artwork, and Viz is releasing it in these beautiful hardbound volumes, so check that out. And other things are going up there that I am also reviewing. I have a bunch of other books on my to-review pile. You can track me down on Blue Sky. I'd never check my Twitter account anymore, practically, ever, because that site is unreadable and unusable at this point. Yeah. I think that's it.
Very good. Well, as always, thank you everyone for listening. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, want to chime in about how old you are, you can always get a hold of us through our email, and we will chat with you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.